1965, when our history began. It was a turning point in American history, shaped by the escalating Vietnam War and the powerful surge of the Civil Rights Movement. It was the year of the Voting Rights Act, signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson, outlawing discriminatory voting practices and paving the way for greater political participation by African Americans. Overseas, the conflict in Vietnam reached new heights. Thousands of U.S. troops were deployed daily under Operation Rolling Thunder, intensifying America's military involvement. Meanwhile, history was still being made in space, because on June 3rd, 1965, Ed White became the first American to complete a spacewalk, floating among the stars in a moment of national pride. But back here on Earth, unrest stirred. The Watts riot erupted in Los Angeles, igniting a firestorm of protest over racial injustice and police brutality. The Civil Rights Movement, led by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, pushed forward with renewed urgency. And on March 17, 1965, the historic march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama took place. We all remember that as Bloody Sunday. For some, it was a day of sadness. For some, like our bishop, it was his 9th birthday. But for the nation, it was a moment of reckoning. Tragedy struck on February the 21st, 1965, when Malcolm X was assassinated in New York City. Another powerful voice from among us for justice was silenced far too soon. Yet amid the turmoil, the progress emerged. Medicare and Medicaid were enacted, extending health care to the elderly and the poor, an enduring legacy of a very transformative year. Yes, it was 1965, a year of conflict, courage, change, and the beginning of a new chapter of our collective history.
Thank you, Sister Faye, for that reflection on the events of 1965, a year of historic change. While our nation stood at a crossroads in the Carolinas, a new spiritual movement was quietly taking root, one that would grow into a legacy of service, sisterhood, and strength. From history to her story, the Carolina Region Women's Missionary Society, the founding spark. In August of 1964, Bishop Henry C. Gunton brought together leaders of the North and South Carolina conferences for a joint session in Charlotte, North Carolina. Their purpose? To unify under a shared vision of faith and service. 1 year later, in 1965, the Carolina Region Women's Missionary Society was born, uniting conferences, 2 communities, and 1 powerful purpose. Since then, 8 visionary women have taken up the mantle of leadership, each one leaving her mark. Mrs. Holloway J.A. Davis, 1965 through 1976. Laid a foundation of faithful service. Mrs. Madeline Porter, 1976 through 1981. Mrs. Gilmore L. Williams, 1981 through 1989. Mrs. Donald M. Hayes, 1989 through 1997, the first non-minister spouse to be elected. Mrs. Laura Anderson Holloway, 1997 through 2005. Mrs. Faye Phillips, 2005 through 2013, first youngest president elected. Did y'all hear me? First youngest president elected. Mrs. Adrian C. Speas, 2013 through 2021, and Mrs. Carolyn Stafford, 2021, currently serving. These women didn't just organize. They have shepherded growth, nurtured faith, and expanded our reach. The power of education. Education has always been at the forefront of the work in the missionary societies of the Carolina region. The first educational scholarship was to Dr. Sylvia Black, PhD, who went on to lead the School of Nursing at Winston-Salem State University. Other examples of scholarship recipients who received are Gwendolyn Patterson, now a retired public school teacher in North Carolina; Irene Clark-Feller, now a retired CME minister; the late Beverly Gaines, now Dr. Beverly Rose, PhD, retired CME minister; and the late Dorita Baldwin, a CME minister. Male ministers who were recipients of the Carolina Region Women's Missionary Society Educational Scholarships, who served the church as bishops in the CME church, were Bishop Charles L. Helton, deceased, former bishop of the 7th Episcopal District; Bishop Marshall Gilmore, retired and former senior bishop of the CME Church; and Bishop Thomas L. Ford, Jr., deceased, former bishop of the 4th and 7th Episcopal Districts. Other ministers awarded the Women's Missionary Society Educational Scholarships include Reverend Eddie Burt, Reverend Christopher Manning, and Reverend William Gary, Jr. Honoring Excellence, Davis Deese Award of Excellence. In addition to providing educational scholarships, the Carolina region of the Women's Missionary Society also sought to recognize individuals who modeled missionary excellence in action. Under the presidency of Mrs. Faye Phillips, the Davis Deese Award of Excellence was established to honor those who embodied the core values of faith, service, and leadership. Named in tribute to the region and inaugural leadership, Mrs. J.A. Davis and Mrs. Faye Deese, grandmother of Mrs. Faye Phillips. This award became a symbol of legacy and inspiration. Until 2013, it was presented to women who exemplified extraordinary missionary dedication, including Mrs. Deborah Pickens, Mrs. Gladys Pendergraft Brandon, Mrs. Adrian Speas, Mrs. Naomi McCoy, Mrs. Louise Price, Mrs. Benny Hart, Mrs. Laura Anderson Holloway, and Mrs. Donna M. Mays. Honoring legacy, scholarships, and leadership, In 1995, at the 13th Quadrennial Assembly in San Francisco, Crystal Morrow, a member of Lansford Chapel CME Church, Monroe, North Carolina, became the first recipient from the Carolina region to receive the Helena DuCal 4-year educational scholarship. At the 16th Quadrennial Assembly, Michael Dent Jr., Mount Olive CME Church, became the first male recipient. Brandon Booker, St. John CME Church, Winston-Salem, received the Princess Anne Pegues Save Our Sons Scholarship and now serves as a professor at Elon University, and his proud mother is sitting in the audience. The Carolina region proudly continues to support and uplift students, bringing home resources, opportunity, and hope. A presence felt near and far. We continue to support overseas missions with hygiene kits, mosquito nets, school supplies, flip-flops, and dresses made with love. Locally, we've donated to agencies and families in need, because wherever there's a need, we believe the Women's Missionary Society should be present. Influence across the church. Carolina region women have held positions at every level of the Women's Missionary Council, from bylaws to literature, fine arts to elections. Our voices have shaped the vision and future of our entire denomination. Leadership across the Connectional Church. For 6 decades, women of the Carolina Women's Missionary Society have made impactful contributions to the Women's Missionary Council, serving in distinguished roles such as Mrs. Palomino Davis, founder of the Children's Network, Reverend Emma T. Duran, Secretary of Plays and Pageants, Mrs. Sylvia Forshad, Credentials Committee, Mrs. Laura A. Holloway, Constitution and Bylaws, Literature and Publications, Fine Arts Secretary and Host Committee, Mrs. Georgia M. Smith, Finance Committee, Mrs. Donna M. Mays, Credentials, Nominating Committee Chair, Hunger and Hills Committee and Secretary, Mrs. Cheryl Berry, Nominating Committee, Life Membership, Mrs. Carolyn Stafford, Election Committee, Hostess Committee, Ms. Dinah Pettigrew, Seventh Episcopal Institute Director, Mrs. Betty Dorr, Nominating Committee, Mrs. Faye Crawler Phillips, Chair of Constitution and Bylaws, Handbook Committee, Seventh Episcopal Institute Director, Mrs. Adrienne Speas, Roxy Hollis Secretary, Mrs. Victoria Justice Bradley, 7th Episcopal District Institute Director. Legacy leadership in every role and every scholarship, the women and youth of the Carolina region have shown that faith in action transforms communities across generations. So as we reflect on the story of the Carolina Region Women's Missionary Society from its birth in 1965 to the vibrant mission we serve today, we remember that history is more than milestones. It is prayer in action, leadership in motion, and love multiplied.
Yes.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
We're going to start, I think she said in the 1960s, and I am start with our first bishop that we had here in Carolina. It was 1965. And we've been served by the best of the best bishops, and I have traveled and then I've seen many bishops, but we've always had the best. All right? Our first bishop in 1965 was orchestrated. The merger was Bishop Henry Clay Bunting. All right? Anybody remember him? Yes. All right? Y'all getting kind of old. Next one was Bishop Owen Broomfield, marching for our freedom. Y'all remember Bishop Broomfield? Yes. All right. Next we had Bishop Nathaniel Lindsay. Remember we had, who was the Bishop Broomfield's Bishop Lindsay, and then they took him away, and we got Bishop Broomfield, is that right? All right. Our next bishop, as I said, Bishop Nathaniel Missionary. And then we pictured here him with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., an active participant in civil rights movement. And this is what he believed in, trying to get us where we had to get our rights. And in Georgia, he was really, truly outstanding. Next we had Bishop O.P. Broomfield. And he was civil rights, and he was also a lover. Y'all know how Bishop Broomfield was? All right, you don't have to be too old to remember him. Y'all know. Next we had Bishop Charles B. Hampton. All right, y'all know Bishop Hampton was a businessman. He was believing saving that money to get his right to his money. And the royal proviso was purchased during his tenure. Okay? Next we had Bishop Thomas L. Hort Jr. Intellectual genius of the world, of the word and of the world. He was the distance giant of all. Y'all know he was tall. And he wasn't only tall in this height, all right? He was tall and loving people and giving. He was just a great person. Our hearts were just so saddened because he passed, so the time he was with us. Let us just pause a moment for that. Amen. He was a beautiful person, and he was one that was very easy to work with. And after his death, Bishop Marshall Gilmore, retired Bishop Marshall Gilmore, came to work with us after Bishop Hort's death. Bishop Hort stayed here until we got a great leader. Y'all hear me? Yeah. He loves his people. He likes to have fun. He likes to eat. Just a great person with his lovely wife. And who am I talking about? Bishop.
mighty good preacher. I remember when we was at the general conference and your brother preached at the general conference in Atlanta. And I said, that's the preacher in your land I haven't seen. Until we saw and got Bishop here, our bishop, his brother. Let me just tell you, the brothers can preach. And we just love it. Here we have been, I don't know, he has done so much for us and so many things, but I don't know how to end good. He just standing and asking from his heart. He loves his people and he shows love. He wants to bring his wife, a beautiful person, a beautiful lady, who's right there with him at his She's not an example, but she can do it. And we love you and we thank you for being at his side. And again, I want all of you to join me as we say that we are blessed over the 60 years of getting and having these bishops. So one of the best. Help me to present him. Thank you, Lord. Let us stand as we present Representative Mr. Dennis from our Walker and Mrs. Walker.
What a history, what a history, what a history. We have so much to be proud of. My task tonight is to introduce our 2025-2026 officers for the Carolyn Region Women's Missionary Society. As I call your name, I'm actually please stand so everyone can see you. President, Carolyn Stafford. Our Vice President, Amber Lewis. Secretary, Ruby Carolyn. Assistant Secretary, Beverly Moore. Our Treasurer, Lakeisha Fowler-Bowman. Our Boston Key Holland Secretary, Lovette Daniel. Our Management Department Secretary, Kristen Smith. Tuesday Bedford, Patricia Jones. Status of Women, Dr. Deborah Lowe. Fine Arts, Tammy Leach. Literature and Publications, Judy Maisha. Our Family Valley Missionary Education Secretary, Cheryl Copeland Pickett. Our Specialized in Message, Diane Pettigrew. Holy and Mills William, Ms. Stockton. Overseas Mission, Jacqueline Cox Smith. Our nominating chairperson, Leon Lee James. Our finance chairperson, Cheryl Berry. Christian Social Relations chairperson, Teresa Mudra. Our resolution chairperson, Adrian Speas. Our compilation and statistics, Gladys Moore. And our convention chairperson, Teresa Alford. Now let's give them all a hand. Thank you. You may be seated. Now we will have a wonderful poem led by Adrian Speas.
Okay. As we reflect on the strength and the spirit of the women who built this legacy, I'd like to close with a poem that captures that same unshakable resolve. Maya Angelou's Still I Rise, originally published in 1978, reminds us that no matter the challenge, We rise with faith, with purpose, and with pride. Still I rise by mighty and blue. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I got will, puppet in my living room. Just like moons and night suns, with the certainty of times. Just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me open, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it over hard, 'cause I laugh like I got cold lines, digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I got diamonds at the meeting of my eyes? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise.